Hey there, everybody. Now, this week we're looking at the validity of the resurrection. How do we know that we can trust the accounts of the resurrection that we have? Now, we as a faith take the resurrection pretty seriously, I'd say. Without it, we wouldn't have the faith that we say that we do. We wouldn't have a God that we could worship who we could say was alive. The God that we would worship if the resurrection never happened would be dead. And if death was never defeated like God said that he did, it would be something quite terrible for us today. You might be wondering, what makes us so sure that what happened regarding the resurrection actually happened? Well, as a little surprise, let's go and talk to the Apostle John. Yes, we were told about the empty tomb, and a few of us ran to go and see it to make sure that it was true. The women had told us that it was empty, but we had to go and make sure. And I got there first. You can read all about it in my book, in Me, chapter 20. That is John, chapter 20. You can read how I outran Peter and just had to make sure that it's really, really clear. Not only was the tomb empty, but a short time later we did see Jesus himself, and he appeared to all of us disciples, and he was physically there, and not only to us but to about 500 other people as well. So it was definitely him. There was no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. Now, for budgeting reasons on these family slots, we could only afford to go and talk to John. We couldn't talk to anybody else. Now, what solidifies that what happened at the resurrection is best summed up in an account by a guy called Charles Colson, who was a former White House council member. What he said was, "I know the resurrection is true and Watergate proved it." Now, as a side note, Watergate was simply put as a big scandal in American politics. Colson continues, 12 men testified that they had seen Jesus raised from the dead, and then they proclaimed that truth for 40 years, never once denying it. Every one of them was beaten, tortured, stoned, and put in prison. They would not have endured all this if it wasn't true. Watergate embroiled 12 of the most powerful men in the world, and they couldn't keep alive for 3 weeks. You're telling me 12 apostles could keep alive for 40 years? Impossible. And it's in that perspective where we gain some insight on our own of there's no way that this would have survived all of history as we know it if it wasn't true. But that's just something to think over in your own mind. We can trust the accounts of the apostles of the resurrection, and we can trust that it is true. Praise God for that. I'll see you guys later.